again everyone, welcome to another Christmas craft video with me, Jess, on behalf of Independent Arts Isle of Wight. And in today's video, today it's the first of a two-part series of videos, and I'm going to show you how to make some really quite sweet Christmas card holders out of some air dry clay. So in this video we'll be making them, and I'll take you through the painting of them in the next instalment. So today I'm going to show you how to make this little snowman, and although it doesn't actually look an awful lot like one at the moment, this is going to be a stylised Christmas tree Christmas card holder as well. All you're going to need for today is some air dry clay like so. We'll need a paintbrush with some water on it just to smooth down and stick our clay. And we're also going to need some cocktail sticks or toothpicks, wooden cocktail sticks. We're going to need these for sculpting and adding some detail to our clay designs, but in the case of the snowman we're also going to use them to make him some arms and hold him together. So we're going to need some clay, toothpicks, paintbrush and water. We're going to need some paper clips to put in the top, and that's what's going to make them, instead of just an ornament, it's going to make them a Christmas card holder. And you might want a knife and fork or something as well, just to help with the sculpting. All I'm using to make these today is some of this air dry clay and I'm going to need a knife, maybe a fork, maybe a knife and fork to cut and shape the clay. And I've also got just a couple of little toothpicks which will really help in marking out some detail on them before we paint them. So the first thing that we always do is just get our clay and start to work and knead it a bit. Get it nice and supple and warmed up. This makes it much easier to mould into the shapes that we want. Now earlier in the year I'd shown you how to make some little hot dogs and burgers as cute photo or note holders, and it got me thinking that it would actually make really nice Christmas card holders too if we used some festive designs. So today I'm going to show you just a couple of those, and I'm going to start with a really easy one. It's a little snowman, so I'll just get this out of the way. Here we go. So, as we would with some real snow, we're going to have to make some balls of clay instead of balls of snow. So to do that we just rub between our hands, gently working that clay into a nice smooth and even ball if we can. Though if it's not perfectly spherical, that's absolutely fine. Snowman's still going to look really cute. Something else that we can do which helps, we have a paintbrush with just a little bit of water, and sometimes as our clay dries out it will start to crack, and using a little bit of water will also help stick it together. So there is the bottom of our snowman. Now, the thing that we're going to have to make sure we do with this is make sure it's big enough, because it's got to be sturdy enough to hold up Christmas cards. Christmas card, just one each. Although I'm sure you could experiment with some other designs that might be a little bit longer. You could hold multiple Christmas cards on one thing. So what we're going to do is put our two balls on top of each other. That's the body, and we're going to have the head in a minute. Our clay isn't going to want to stick together very well. What we can do is, using a toothpick or our knife, we've squashed them together at the joins, and then when we've put our two pieces of body and one piece of head together, we'll put a toothpick all the way through to anchor our parts of snowman together. So one more smaller still ball of clay, and we get a little bit of water on my paintbrush, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. I'm going to stick him on the top too. I think I might anchor him through. So for that, we're going to be poking our toothpick from his head down through the centre. And it doesn't matter if a little bit more, we'll leave a little bit poking out the top that we can attach his hat to in a minute as well. But once we've done that, Snowman's going to stay together a bit better. And we can turn it on its side and smooth off the shape. There we go, all the way around. He's quite cute already, even without any features. Now I'm going to make the hat. You can make your snowman's hat in any design you like. You could have a top hat, you could have a little woolly hat, a bobble hat. I think I'm going to try and do him a bit of a classic snowman top hat, although it's going to have a bit of a thicker brim to keep the clay from falling apart. So to do that, I've made, again, a ball and squashed it, and that's going to be the bottom of his hat. And to make the top part, make a smaller ball of clay still, and if I press down on the top and the bottom, or two sides like so, I can turn it in my hands like that to make a flattened, a thick circle. A little bit of water on both sides should help stick it together, as will pressing together the sides using a cocktail stick or something similar, the end of a paintbrush, a small knife, anything will do. Get that together. It's not very neat at the moment. I'll go over and smooth it all off once it's together. And now I'm going to poke this bit onto the top, squish it down a little bit, and now we've got a complete snowman. Two bits of the body, head and a hat. The next thing to do is just go over all of this with a knife and a paintbrush to smooth it off, and then we can start adding a bit of detail. Right, so all I've done here is just go over my snowman as he is so far, smoothing any rough bits, and then going over all of the surface, especially the joins, with a small paintbrush, just with a bit of water on it to help finally smooth off any cracks and secure the joins. And there we go, that's him so far. Well, hopefully he's still going to stand up. As long as you've made sure you're stacking on top of each other and you've got this cocktail stick anchoring it together and your bottom piece is widest, hopefully your snowman is still going to be quite sturdy. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go back to our cocktail sticks. I'm going to get a few fresh cocktail sticks, his arms and his nose. To do that, I'm going to break one of these like so. You want to be careful with splinters and stuff here. Sometimes you might cut them. Experiment with some other things as well. You could just use bits of clay. You could roll a little ball of clay to make flat sort of tangerine snowman nose, like out of the Snowman. Decide where his face is going to be, and I'm going to poke this into here. Now you could just leave him like that, although it'd be a little bit sharp and dangerous. What I'm going to do to save anybody being stabbed by a snowman's sharp little nose is cover that spike over with a bit of clay for his carrot nose. If I flatten out a little bit of clay like so, that's wide enough to cover it, it should wrap round, and I can gently shape it into a point with my fingers. Flatten it down to join with my cocktail stick. As long as we let that dry, that should cover the sharp point cocktail stick, and also keep his nose a little bit more secure than it would be if it was just stuck on without that. A little brush over with some water to smooth down all those rough areas and where we've joined it on. A bit more of a shape with my fingertips. Nearly got a lovely little carrot nose. Like I said, you may find it easier, you may want to have a go, maybe make a few different ones. A little flat ball of clay stuck straight onto his face will also make a lovely snowman nose. Right, for his eyes next, what we can do, you can attach individual little balls of clay, but as we've got our cocktail sticks anyway, and just poke some holes in for his eyes and coal mouth into a little smile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 should do it. Oh, one more on the other side. Nice big smile. And there's his face. Now for the arms, again I was thinking just stick some cocktail sticks. How about break a cocktail stick in half and pointing the sharp end in this time. Let's add him a couple of arms. And what we can do afterwards is, once we've maybe we could add make some little mittens to add onto the end as well, possibly. For now, let's make sure that these are going to stick in securely by pressing clay around it, and we're going to get that paintbrush dipped in the water just to smooth around this area as well. Okay. Now, last but not least, we're going to have to try and find somewhere to balance the paper clip so we can turn him into a card holder. Now, if I'm going to put it too far back, ideally you want it in the middle if you've got him straight, but mine's leaning back ever so slightly, and I think if I put a card in the middle he'd end up toppling backwards. So I might just pop it into the front brim of his hat here instead. And hopefully when he's dry, that's going to keep him sturdy. Fingers crossed. Now, I think he's going to look nicer with a few accessories, some mittens and a scarf. So to make him some mittens, I'm going to roll 2 balls of clay around about the same size, and I'm going to make 2 more much smaller balls of clay, which I'm going to stick to there and flatten down a bit. A bit of a mitten shape. Just go from there. Same on the other side. A bit of water. Squish that together. Getting a bit fiddly now. And stick that on the edge. Now again, to make sure that they're not just going to fall off as soon as they're dry. Obviously they're not going to be overly secure, but to use for ornamental purposes, it's going to be fine. Let's smooth that down, make sure that those mittens are securely stuck onto the ends of his little cocktail stick arms. And there we go, there's his hands. A few more details left to do. Maybe we could poke a few more holes down his front. The classic snowman coal button look. And to make a scarf, I'm going to roll clay into a very, very long sausage shape, like so. If you place it onto your surface and roll backwards and forwards evenly with your fingers, make a nice long clay worm, which we can flatten out and wrap around our snowman's neck. We want a straight edge of the scarf, in which case we can go back to our butter knife, just make a clean cut there. There. Stick it down a bit with our paintbrush again. Down round so you can still see his face. Keep him nice and snuggly as well. And now all there is to do is let him dry, and we'll give him a coat of paint afterwards. Right, and while our snowman's drying, I'm going to show you another simple festive clay design that we could use as a Christmas card holder by sticking a paper clip in the top. Now this is going to be a Christmas tree. Nice and simple. We're going to have to work our clay first. Now where I've left this lump of clay out for a little while, it's gone a little bit cold, a little bit harder. So I'm going to have a good knead and roll and squish a bit first to warm it up and make it easier to work with and less prone to cracks. So for our Christmas tree, let's start off by getting our clay into just a rough ball shape. And we're going to try and sculpt it into a bit of a cone shape for a Christmas tree. So once we've got a ball, roughly ball shape, egg shape, we're going to want to turn it into a cone with a flat bottom. So we can do that by using our surface and just pressing down. A little bit like, imagine if you had a potter's wheel or something. That'd be great. I'd love to have one of those. But we can do a similar thing just by turning it ourselves and pressing down, or rubbing our hands round like so. And you see the way I've angled my hands, I'm slowly turning it into this cone shape. We're going to carry on doing that, make it a little bit of a taller cone, but we want to keep the width at the bottom, because if we're going to turn this into a card holder, we need it to be sturdy enough and not fall over, which I'm already slightly worrying about my snowman, which maybe if you're going to do this yourself, do make sure that you've got a wide enough base for your snowman, as mine is going to rely on me having put that in the right place. So with our Christmas tree, going to make sure that the base is really nice and wide, and it's going to be really sturdy. Make a nice Christmas tree card holder. There we go. As you can see, it's slowly come along, a bit of a sort of a witch's hat shape. A little bit wonky still at the moment. Just keep working it. Keep working it round. It's quite a nice relaxing and satisfying thing to do. I'm turning it, so it's a bit like an upside down ice cream cone, or a pointy wizard's hat, or a stylised Christmas tree, which is what it's going to be. Once you've got your shape, again we're going to want to get a little paintbrush just dipped in the water. Just water, although unfortunately, like me, I seem to be accidentally dipping it in some painty water, so I wouldn't advise that. So what we're going to do, just with the water, smooth over our cone shape that we've just made. Another technique that I use quite often is just use the back of my nail. Sometimes find that even easier than smoothing it off with a knife. A nice smooth finish. And there we have our shape. We're going to use our toothpick again to do some decorating. We can also use a knife and a fork. I might even start off with the fork actually, and just pulling down gently, scratching the surface. I'll do some downward lines, but I'm actually going to leave the top, because what we're going to do at the top is paint that white and have a little snow-capped evergreen tree. But from about a third of the way down to the bottom, I'm just doing some light downward strokes using my fork on the clay. Turn it round as I go. You don't want to do you don't need to do whole big long lines. If we do them in sections, turning them round, we'll layer up that texture, making our evergreen tree texture, hopefully. All the way around. That's lovely. Okay, and again, what you can do, if you like, obviously it's going to be your design, add a few more details in with a toothpick, cocktail stick. You can also, like we did with the snowman, poke some holes in using that we may want to paint. Use as guides. We can either fill them with a little bit of glitter glue when it's dry, that would look lovely, or some different colours of acrylic paint to stand out on this dark green that we'll be painting the bottom. So, much simpler design even than the snowman, and doesn't really look too much like a Christmas tree at the moment, but I think the paint job is going to be what does it. I'm going to get a paper clip again, and our card's obviously going to be going in that way, down there, to be held and displayed. So we'll poke that end into the top of our Christmas tree. We might need to reshape the point afterwards. It always looks like a volcano before it's painted. In fact, perhaps if you had a somebody that liked volcanoes, a dinosaur mad child, perhaps they might like a clay volcano. It could be painted to be one. But I'm going to paint this dark green at the bottom, white at the top, with a few extra sparkly details around it, and hopefully it's going to look like a Christmas tree. So I'm going to leave that Christmas tree and the snowman both to dry, and then we'll give them a paint. Well, thank you for joining me today. I think we've done quite well with the clay so far. Unfortunately, these air dry designs do take a little while to dry, overnight or so, before we're going to be able to paint them. So set them somewhere safe, and we'll come back to them tomorrow and give them a coat of some acrylic paint and finish them off lovely. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Bye.